Welcome to the Broken Agenda podcast, sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
That would be like me trying to sweep Tyler's leg, and he'd be like, "What was that?" He would just look embarrassed for me. So, you starting the clock?
Yeah, I can run it here now.
So, hey everybody, welcome. This is episode something. I don't have an agenda, so I bet it is an episode number. I just can't tell you which one. The date is November 10th, and today we are talking about supply chain. I know usually we do technology topics, and this is definitely a technology topic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really on our list of topics to talk about. But I mean, if you're paying attention to the news at all right now, or looking at the price of gas, or
trying to buy a new computer,
eggs, or buy a computer, or buy a car, or yeah, Jimmy's trying to buy a computer. That's not going great. You've probably realized that something's wrong. So we figured we'd talk about it. Let's bring it up. Let's hash it out. Let's figure out what's happening, and let's kind of chat about: is there a way out of this, or is there a path forward? Now I don't know. So, Jimmy, you actually had some heads up on this topic. Rarely do we ever give you that, but we did this time because we're starting to like you. Did you do research on supply chain?
I mean,
So we're just winging this one out.
it was a rough week.
So
I did have a bunch of stuff gathered for the other topic, and then I just didn't get to. I did a little, but I mean, it's not like a very easy topic to research.
well, it's not, and a lot of people don't understand what the supply chain is. Like I've talked to a bunch of people about this, and they don't really. I mean, they know. They know it in broad strokes. Like they know that stuff's got to get to a warehouse, and then that warehouse has to distribute it to stores, and that those stores then sell it to you, and it's got to come from wherever it's being made. Like they know that happens. But I mean, I was just listening to an interview with the ex-CEO of, I think it was Toyota of America, and he was previously the president of Toyota International, and then he was the CEO of Toyota North America. Now I believe he's retired, or he went on to another gig or whatever. So he felt like he could speak freely about what's going on. And he didn't say anything bad about Toyota, but he was trying to explain, at least in terms of the auto industry, what's going on with the supply chain. It was a fascinating interview because he's like, we've been playing with fire for 30 years. So I don't know, what was it? It was probably in the 90s, right? Where Japan kind of started this. Japan started the just-in-time inventory.
Yeah.
It was Japan, right?
I think so, yep.
Yeah, I think they kind of invented it, and we obviously embraced it. And that's where all of this is coming from. But what that means, just-in-time inventory, is you only stock what you need to sell right now. So, I mean, in terms of the auto industry, you may be building a line of cars, and that morning, you don't have the seats yet. Like, they're coming that day. They might only arrive at your plant 2 hours before those cars are supposed to have those seats installed.
Yep.
Or tires, or brakes, or whatever you're putting out at that point, or chips, which we'll talk about in a bit. But that puts a lot of faith in the fact that whoever's manufacturing them doesn't have an interruption. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a pretty big interruption last couple of years. But it's a lot of faith that there won't be an interruption in production, that there won't be an interruption in packaging, which there was, that there won't be an interruption in shipping, which there was, that there won't be interruptions at the ports, which there was, that there won't be interruptions with truckers, which there was, and that there won't be interruptions at local retailers or local manufacturers, which there was.
There was.
So not only it wasn't one part failing, we're experiencing now a total system collapse.
Oh, yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel like that's what they educated us on back in the day, right? When you were learning about just-in-time inventory. Dell was always the big example they used in my school because Dell was one of the pioneers in the U.S. on it, right? Building the PCs, and then you just kind of got it. But that was the big thing to stress. As long as the supply chain stays up, this all works great. Second, something goes down, everything kind of goes to shit.
Yeah.
Even if you lose one piece in that chain, the final mile truckers or whatever, stuff just kind of goes to shit.
Or even just one part.
One part.
Like
yeah.
I don't know do you remember the hard drive shortage a few years ago?
I do. Yeah.
It was after the tsunami in Indonesia.
Yep.
And most of the hard drives that were being made at the time were being made in that area of the world. And you couldn't get computers because you couldn't get hard drives.
Yeah.
So even if just one part of that just in time goes down, the whole thing fails. I mean, you got millions of computers sitting around without hard drives. They don't run without hard drives.
Yep.
So
I think what we have right now, it seems like there's the domino effect of things. Like you said, we didn't just have one issue. We've had, everything go wrong all at one time.
well,
You're talking like back, when Trump was in office and we have a disruption with China. I was reading too the Suez Canal that got jammed up. Apparently that had that created a lot of issues with getting supplies in.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you don't got workers. You've got barges sitting in the ocean sinking. We had a barge just sink because it couldn't get unloaded. Sat in the ocean. I think when a hurricane came and sank it. Is that what happened? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, it got stuck in the canal.
No, that's different.
he's talking about
So the canal, the boat got stuck in the canal, which didn't allow supplies to come through the canal. That was stuck there for like a week. Then we have barges sitting off the coast that they're not getting unloaded because there's no dock workers.
Oh, you're talking about in California.
California
New
and I think New York.
Yeah, and New York. Yeah,
Okay.
California's the big one
Right,
because
so-
that's where all of our Asian stuff comes from. Asian supplies.
Yeah, so then you have a boat that sank, a barge that sank that was full of
Yeah, I saw
goods.
that. Sorry, I didn't realize you went from.
So, now you don't have workers in the plants. I mean, we've got a disaster
Yeah, well,
basically
and there's
at every turn.
Well, and it's continuing to stack too. So I think the biggest problem we have right now is they keep dumping money into the economy. So people have discretionary money that they shouldn't have. Like it's just money that should not be getting dumped into the economy. Like it's artificial. The classic definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. That is the classic. You go to college and we're going to boil it down to one statement. Well, we just keep pumping money into the economy. So people have money, but they can't spend it. So now you're exacerbating the problem because now you're creating a backlog where people are like, well, I'll order it, and when it comes in, I'll get it. So people keep ordering stuff because they have the money to order it, and it's not getting made. And nobody's ramping up, and nobody can ramp up. We've got artificial unemployment numbers, so people aren't going back to work because we're making it okay to not work. So it hasn't stopped. I keep hearing these pundits that say, we should be through the worst of it now because we're getting a grapple on COVID. COVID was one part of this. There was a lot of things that went into this. I mean, COVID kind of kicked the whole thing off, but it was possible to right the ship early on. Nobody did. Nobody had the foresight or engaged on a logistics expert or whatever, wherever they failed. And we're continuing to do it. It's happening right now. Nobody's taking the reins on this thing to pull it back in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you look at like the chip shortage in general. I mean, we've just literally entered what I don't know if people call it, but I think we've gone into the space age. I mean, we're literally everything is taking chips and tons of chips. Now we're ushering in electric vehicles. So you're gonna like the demand for chips has escalated in every possible way, and we're not getting product from China.
well,
So the manufacturing's down, and the demand has probably gone tenfold.
yeah, well, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is, all right, let's talk about, you said EVs, let's talk about cars. So a standard no-frills car probably has dozens of chips in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your analog brakes requires a board to control them to make sure that they're working. Your climate control requires it. Your cruise control. All these things have their own chip panels in the car. An advanced car, like with a lot of features, with maybe lane departure warnings and highway sonar, things like that, they could have hundreds and hundreds of chips in a single vehicle.
So there's chips or sensors in every part of that vehicle.
Every single part. So, and I think what a lot of people don't realize or don't care to know, maybe because they're not nerds, it costs between $15 and $20 billion to build a chip plant, and they only last about 5 years. That's it. So it's a massive upfront investment to build one, and then they age out so fast because manufacturing thresholds change so quickly in the chip world. And the reason they cost so much is if you take a clean room, which the entire facility needs to be a clean room, and you have to wear basically a hazmat suit the entire time you're in there. The air filtration systems alone are so advanced that the air in those facilities is 1,000 times cleaner, less particulate, 1,000-fold more than an operating room in a hospital. That's how clean the air has to be, because a single particle of dust that lands on the substrate of a silicon chip ruins the chip. They got to throw it out. It's useless because because they're so precise anymore. It's such a precise process, and we don't even make them here. So I mean, that's not true. Elon, God bless, all hail Elon. Elon Musk is making his own chip plants because he's like, I'm not going to depend on supply chain. I'm making my own. And you are seeing like people start to dabble with the concept like Intel, which is an American company, and everything about bringing some manufacturing back over. But I mean, the upfront investment alone is daunting.
Yeah.
And then you still got years to build the plant.
Yeah, because it's going to be a couple of years before they're even up and running.
Yeah.
That one they're building in Arizona.
Yeah.
So that's, 2 years out?
Yeah, probably go online maybe 2024, maybe 2023.
2 to 3 years.
But yeah, it takes about 2 years to build one.
So the light at the end of the tunnel 3 years from now, is that where we're talking?
I predict we're going to feel ripples from this all the way out to 2030.
Yeah.
Because it's you shut down the entire global economy for a year. And people didn't stop living.
Yep.
They can't do that. And now we're seeing problems with food. But a lot of this is also artificial. Did you see that? What's the name of the federal department that a BLM, the Bureau of Land Management?
Yep.
They're now putting restrictions on farmers to be able to use public land for grazing. So this is a huge part of why we're seeing a beef shortage. So farmers are like, well, if I can't use public land for grazing, I can't maintain a herd.
Yep.
So I need to now either sell off my herd or slaughter them. And I can't replace them because I have no place to graze.
Yeah.
So they're shutting down access to federal land, which is not even a good ecological decision because the grazing actually keeps fire threats from coming into play, and it helps land management. Actually, the stuff the cows leave behind actually helps the land.
It helps manage the land.
Yeah, it's all part of land management, but I think this all comes back to a lot of this is driven by CO2 concerns. So they're back to cow farts. It is what it looks like is what the driving factor is here, but it doesn't change the fact that American beef is under assault. They're doing the same thing with chickens. They're doing the same thing with pork producers, which nobody's ever wanted a pork producer in their backyard.
And then they're also making fake meat.
The Beyond Burger?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with that stuff is, have you ever looked at the sodium levels on that? I have high blood pressure. I can't eat that stuff.
It's not meat. It's just goo.
It's not bad. I've eaten it. It's not. Have you eaten it?
No.
No?
I refuse.
No, you don't like that hot beet juice dripping down your chin?
No.
It's like wax.
I don't mind it. I've had it. I don't think it's that bad. The problem is the sodium content on those things is through the roof. And for somebody like me, I can't eat that stuff. Like, I'm not even supposed to have salt, let alone a patty made of salt, which is basically it's a salt lake. Like I'm being treated like a deer. Like I feel like somebody's trying to like tiptoe me into the killing range, and then I'm out. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems with that. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's really not. So, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think the only way you're going to get away from herds of cattle is if you start lab growing meat,
which is just an atrocity in and of itself.
All right, let's talk about it.
I want free range meat or, something that actually has legs.
Well, they can grow the legs.
Well, good, they can grow it. But does it move?
You can even pick the leg you want them to grow. I want the front left one.
You could get one with 5 legs.
Yeah. Oh, you want a 5-legged one?
No. I want natural birth and all that stuff.
You could get one with 2 heads.
I don't actually have a problem with lab grown meat. I
don't know.
Why wouldn't you?
I feel like
Why wouldn't I have a
something
problem?
is gonna grow a third arm or something because somebody screwed up the formula and.
Well, I mean, my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong here. My understanding is they're just using genetic cultures from live animals, and they're just basically allowing the cells to duplicate in a nutrient feed. Yeah, this is.
You listening to yourself?
I hear it now. Okay, I hear it now.
Well,
okay.
okay.
No, I wasn't. I didn't.
Once you start,
Hey,
I never said it out loud before, but it's pretty gross.
Okay,
but still,
let's-
I mean, have you ever seen a calf being birthed? That's pretty gross.
I have. But, I mean,
It's super.
I'm
There's
okay.
like jelly on them and stuff. It's gross.
I'm okay with lab-grown meat if I'm going to be a space traveler, right?
yeah,
Right.
it's a
But if
very
I'm
different
living on
situation.
planet Earth, I'm feeling like I should be able to and be entitled to like real meat, real beef.
You entitled son of a bitch.
I mean, if I'm on my way to Mars, I'm happy to eat.
So you're very anti-lab grown meat. You're pro lab grown meat, but only on other planets, not on my planet, Mister.
Yeah, if I'm on a trip to Mars, I'm happy to have lab grown meat.
Look, I got to be honest. If you cut it right and it's nice and thick and it comes out juicy, meat's meat. I generally don't question where it came from. My father-in-law's pulled some weird stuff out of his freezer. I ate it all. I don't ask questions.
I've eaten a lot of weird things, but I would not. I don't even know if I'd try lab-grown meat.
Oh, I like this. We never had this conversation.
I imagine that, like, you know, there's going to be some, like the bodies are going to have to adapt to these kinds of things. Like, you know, there's, you know, it's sort of like the vaccine. You know, some people are having crazy negative effects. It's killing some people. Some people are not. You know, I don't know.
We're gonna have to cut this part.
But it's probably the same thing. Like, I think certain people are going to have, you know, issues with, you know, whatever they're putting in to produce the meat. You know what I mean? Until, as a whole, I think, you know, bodies start adapting to the kind of.
Well, now I'm really mad I didn't do more research on lab-grown meat. Because I want to know, like, are they putting stuff in it? Because my understanding was they weren't putting anything in it. Actually,
They would have.
They would
Well,
be
they have to.
putting
It's,
something into it.
yeah, it's made with things.
Well,
Like they're gonna inject growth hormone and shit into it. In some
Well,
way.
it's like eating chickens now. You know, the way they're injecting crap in chickens. You know,
Hey, do you guys
is
remember?
that any better?
But at least they get the walk before they get slaughtered. Like
That's
give them a
Like
chance
that-
to live.
He
That's
did a
why
little
you-
finger thing.
That's why you want. That's why you want free range. You know, meat, right? Because
I mean, it sounds like if
and they're
you
eating
want,
organic.
like in the lab grown, if you want free range, it's
Well,
gonna
they
be
can
some
move
guy
the
walking.
trees around.
Exactly, some
Like-
guy walking it around.
Yeah.
Go play.
I bet they make them dance every once in a while. They can put on some music and they do like a little cha-cha.
All I picture is like Jello
dun,
with
dun, dun, dun.
probes stuck in it. It's pulsating.
You know what? We're taking a field trip. This podcast is going to. Do they even actually lab grow meat yet, or is this just like a theoretical thing? I feel like they do.
I feel like it's out there. I'm gonna.
You know what? Now that we're on this topic, totally off. But can somebody explain to me why GMO is bad too? Like, is that bad?
They say it is.
Is it?
Genetically modified.
Well,
Depends on what they're saying is, but if you eat corn, you're eating genetically modified.
Yeah, I never understood the GMO argument. Like,
Corn in its original form is not edible for humans.
yeah, I always thought a 20-pound tomato would be delicious.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they genetically modify it so that the insects won't eat it. So if the insects naturally inhabitants
I've heard a
natural
lot of-
inhabitants of the planet won't eat it, why? Why would they not eat it?
well, insects are stupid. I don't know if you've ever met one, but
And
idiots.
so,
Well, yeah, but there are things that. All right, fair enough.
I mean, what is in it
No,
that the insects are deterred from it?
Well,
And then if you're ingesting that into your body over time, I mean,
Then the bugs stay away from you.
yeah, but there's quantity levels too. Like, I mean, the average insect, you're millions of times larger than it. So something that might be toxic to an insect, could literally just be something that your stomach enzymes break down before it even gets into your bloodstream. So at toxicity levels for them, it's not even relevant to us. So that's I think part of what they look at is if you change the food so that certain parts of the food chain don't want it anymore. My concern is more nature always adapts. So what kind of super insects are we going to make that now want to eat a 20-pound tomato?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I maintain right now, and I'm going to start this rumor, and hopefully we can spread it far and wide, but that's where murder hornets came from.
It's going to be Starship Troopers all over.
Yes.
and then everything is gradually genetically changing.
Don't
Like
worry,
if
Farm
you're
Stinson will save us.
if you're ingesting things that are, lab modified,
But you're already
then
doing it. You're eating
it's-
fruits and vegetables that are being sprayed with herbicides
Right.
and with insecticides. You're eating, animals that are giving growth hormones and that are given antibiotics and are given vaccines. I mean, you're already doing it. You're just doing it at a genetic level instead of at a surface level. So, I mean, as long as we test these things, I mean, that's my whole problem with what's going on right now is proper testing is always key. But I don't know, as long as it goes through, we find a couple of morons who are willing to be our guinea pigs and, eat a bunch of weirdly large
I'll eat it.
apricots for $20.
Mikey likes it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily have I feel like a lot of this stuff is necessary considering we have 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, in order to avoid the culling. So, something's got to give. Either we got to figure out how to make bigger, better, faster food, or, some people got to go. I tend to err on the side, although I've met a lot of dumb people, but I think just, making food would probably be a better solution. But maybe not. I don't know. Tyler seems to disagree. We are disagreeing on everything.
I don't know.
This is a good podcast.
It's tough to say I'd want to eat meat that's grown in a lab. I feel like the emotion that the animal goes through in its life is important to its meat growth.
Well, you know what? There's some truth to that.
Yeah, like the enzymes and stuff. Because I think they say, and I don't remember how it goes, if you're a hunter,
That's why
like
you
a
want
quick
to clean
kill.
the
Yeah, so it's not exerting those
and dumping all those
hormones and stuff
chemicals into
into the meat because it'll change the flavor of it and stuff. So I'm sure we'll find a way to reproduce it. But
Well, that makes a great argument for lab-grown beef then, because
Well, no, what he's saying though, there
want
are
the emotion.
there are also chemicals that are released during the maturation process, which make the meat delicious.
like when that cow sees a nice green pasture,
Gets
gets a
happy.
little giddy, a little jumpy.
yeah,
All those endorphins.
the
are
adrenaline
fine.
rush he gets, like
No adrenaline bad. Endorphins good.
endorphins.
Yeah. So, no, I don't know. I don't know, and maybe you're right. It's maybe I jumped to conclusions
I
here.
figure it's a problem for my kids to figure out because I will eat meat literally into my grave.
Yeah, I'm not
like
gonna
just
stop eating meat.
Give me a steak.
Yeah, I'll buy a smaller house. Like
Exactly.
Like yeah, no.
I'll raise my own damn pigs.
Exactly. I'll start. Yeah, I'm not.
It was actually my goal in life was to have my own pig, raise it from a sow, and slaughter it.
You gotta name it something adorable.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I just name it by what I'm going to make it into.
Oh.
Bacon, sausage.
Come here, bacon.
You're going to taste so good someday.
Messed up, man. See, now you're pushing me back over to vat-grown meat.
See, I've always had, people would say, well, all these things are bad for you as a human, but like how long we live continues to extend.
No, it's gone
Right.
down the last 3 years in America.
The
Life
like,
expectancy in America is
in the
up
last 3 years.
every year for the last 3 years.
Well, yeah, that's because of a lot of that has to do with stress of things that are happening.
No, it was before. It started before all of this. I really, honestly, and this isn't about politics. I think it's Obamacare. I think a lot of people no longer have a family doctor, which means that you have to go to a clinic. A lot of people just don't want to do that. They just don't go and get medical. They don't get early medical advice. They don't just go to their family doctor and be like, "Hey, I got this lump. Can you take a look at it?" And he's like, "Yeah, you should get that looked at." Like now they're just like, "I got a lump, but I don't feel like going to prompt care. They're a bunch of pains in the butts, and they're gonna do 5,000 tests, and I'm sure it's fine." Like I just think that a lot of it is we've just completely mangled our healthcare system. So when people just aren't getting treatment, and the treatment they are getting is so standardized now because the healthcare system is so standardized that there's no initiative of thought. There's no diversity.
Second opinion.
There's no second. Everybody's preaching the same thing. They all read from the same book. Like it's really homogenized healthcare, which is bad.
Yeah.
Because the best creations come from the outside, not
Yep.
from the inside. So I think that's what's going on.
So I wonder if that's intentional. People living too long. We gotta off this.
We already did the conspiracy theory episode. You could have brought this up.
Would have been a good topic.
It is a good topic. All these are good topics. You kidding me? I'd totally do vat grown. I'd do an hour on vat grown meat. I'd even want to do my own science experiment, see if I could grow like a pork chop.
Now I kind of want to try it just to see.
Thank you. Like let's
One time.
let's
Grow a
some
pork
meat.
chop.
Let's see what it tastes like.
Go a rack
That'd
of
be
lamb.
such a weird experience.
That'd be an awesome experience.
How do you butcher it? No, just cut it. Just slice it.
And
right
I'd
down
want
the
to grow the entire animal too. Just no brain.
With
The whole thing.
so it's just laying there.
just laying there. Just nothing. Just
Yeah,
every once in a while it kind of twitches.
That's kind of sad.
And
It's
then,
fine. There's no brain in there. It's fine.
and then if you could just duplicate the animals,
Like
and
bring the
just-
kids to meet it and like they can pet it while it's laying there. And
What's wrong
and
with
it's-
Fluffy?
He's
that would give
fine.
him, that would help with the endorphins, right?
Yeah, well, there's no brain, so probably not. but it's yeah.
Yeah. So if you could grow animals, oh no, they need the endorphins. You just have to inject the endorphin right into
Well,
it.
I don't know. In the animal's defense, Tyler and I could be totally wrong about that. We think that could be the case, but
Yeah.
I do know I have read about at time of death,
Yeah, right.
that can make that toughen the meat,
Chemical
change the flavor.
yep.
But I don't know if the happiness of the animal's life. And I've seen some veal that didn't look so happy. So I don't know that they're feeling a ton of joy, but I don't know.
And then, like, Kobe beef is very specific in the diet it's fed.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. So how do you replicate that? You just grinding up the grass, turning it to its chemical compounds and injecting it?
And theoretically, all they're doing is trying to feed it perfectly balanced grains and grasses and things like that. But if you didn't have to grow it into grass and grains and everything, if you could just inject the nutrients directly into the muscle tissue, and that's how you fed it, then you wouldn't even need everything you put into it would already be in perfect balance minus all the bad stuff. Like there wouldn't be any chance of pesticides being on the feed that you give it, or there wouldn't even be any waste theoretically. I mean, it would kind of be like an infant growing in a womb. Well,
let's not go down this.
Let's not go this route. That's a different thing. But I mean, it's a feeding tube, and it's like it's just using everything and growing, and then you eat that baby.
I just see this in the eventual Matrix style Life for Humans.
Yes, just like the
We're
Matrix.
just in a vat of gel.
Which,
plugged in.
all right, and we're going to go off topic again here, but didn't that ever bother you guys about the Matrix? Why did they have to grow humans?
Yeah,
We're
they should have
clearly
figured out.
troubled. Why wasn't it just cows in those tubes? I mean, cows make more energy than we do, and they're not going to rebel. Like, they're just going to walk around in their matrixy field going, moo.
They wouldn't
Like,
do
they're going to be fine, and then you eat them, and it's no big deal. Like really, machines? Humans are the ones you decided? Like, the only animal on the planet that's going to give you a hard time. Maybe lions.
Yeah.
Like, one animal's going to give you a hard time, and we're going to pick that one.
Yeah.
Also, probably the least efficient animal out there. Like, we're not even... like, it doesn't even make any sense. Sorry, Wazanowski brothers, or whoever wrote that. I forget what your names are. But
You're right. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Supply chain.
Supply chain, yes. Wow.
This is what happens when I don't write an agenda. We end up on the Matrix every time. No, so but yeah, so we got supply chain stuff going on with food too. So I mean, it's everywhere right now. It's and to your point, Jimmy, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I do know that nobody seems to be dealing with it. I mean, I just was telling Tyler right for the podcast. I just heard that that they're planning on shutting down another pipeline, which just seems like just no matter what your reasons are, not great timing.
No.
Like we're heading into the winter, energy prices are already through the roof, and we're just gonna turn the tap off. Like, if you got a bunch of thirsty people, would you stop bringing water? Like, I don't understand like what the thought process is here, but
The timing's impeccable, isn't it?
it's amazing.
Winter, they're going to shut down the pipeline.
Yeah, why not? It's winter. People will figure it out. Well, they just overturned the mask mandate in PA, so maybe we could all burn masks to stay warm.
Did they officially overturn that now? Or is it January?
The appeals court, I believe, 4-1, overruled the state's authority to enforce it on schools, I believe is what just happened.
Okay.
So it still is probably going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And it could get flipped back the other way at the Supreme Court. Although 90% of the time, the Supreme Court's going to go with the appellate court.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. But yeah, I think it was just today, this morning.
I say because I got an email from my kid's school. I didn't get to read it yet, but saying something about masks. But I had seen news that they were going to leave it up to the school districts in January.
Well, what that means now is the school boards themselves make the decision.
Have the right.
Now, I don't know that they have the right, though. I don't know if they have any actual authority to enforce it. So this is going to make for some muddy situations.
Okay.
So it would be left up to them, but how would they enforce it?
Well, they could just say, I guess it depends on the school. It's just going to be a personal decision.
I mean, theoretically, I guess they could just take disciplinary action against the kids and just say...
Well, if it's not a state mandate, then that seems like it would be for them to go enforce it. That's like... How does the schools have the power then?
Well, in Pennsylvania, and I actually like the way this is done, but in PA, the schools are run by the school boards. Mm-hmm. So there are some...
Our school board voted against it.
They did?
But then the state said you have to do it.
Well, that was from the...
So now they're saying the state's can't say you do it. Now the school board can decide.
Yeah, well, if they already voted no, then their previous vote would take precedence, and they would be maskless now, starting probably tomorrow, I would say. Our school board voted to mask regardless of the state. So nothing would change at our school. unless they decide to reverse their school's health and safety plan. Is my understanding, but I don't know what their actual authority is in that situation.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, everything's so weird right now.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. I don't know what's going on.
And part of me wonders if it's always like this, and I'm just realizing it because I'm more of an adult now, and I just didn't give a shit when I was younger.
I can't believe anything was this jacked up ever.
I don't know.
I tend to agree with Jimmy on this one. I feel like look, I talk to my dad a lot.
It's the twilight zone right now.
And he's telling me I lived through the 60s, and this is the weirdest time of my life.
All right. Fine.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really engage anyone from an older generation to find out, but I don't know. I just kind of keep to myself.
Yeah. Oh, we're at break?
It's 30.
All right. Well, let's take 5 minutes, do the things we do, and then we will be back with more random rambling, which may or may not relate to supply chain. So, see you in 5. Everybody's affected by it, but we're seeing it on a daily basis. So, I mean, the tech stuff, because nobody makes tech stuff in the United States anymore. I mean, they make software in the U.S., but nobody makes hardware in the U.S. anymore, except, Elon. So, all hail. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to be waiting for anything. Is there anything that's not, with the exception of just stock parts, like generic hard drives or generic RAM or whatever, is there anything that's not back ordered?
Well, it's weird because one day there will be, well, I'll give you an example. I sent an estimate to a client this week for a single laptop. There were 35 in stock. I sent the estimate, called them immediately after, refreshed the page, and all 35 were gone.
Jesus.
Just like that.
Wow.
And that's how it's going. And so everything I'm caveating is like, there's 100 in stock now, but that doesn't mean there will be 100 in stock in 10 minutes. Because it'll just, a company will see there's 100 there, I'm going to buy them all.
Yeah.
Just because I need them. It'll come, you can tell when a shipment comes in because there's like 2 or 3 models that are available. But then they're gone within a day at the most.
Well, I mean, the problem there is we are all wholly dependent from a supply chain standpoint on West Coast receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, short of doing a Berlin-style airlift, and even then the airports wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yep.
But, and I did a lot of reading on this. This is not a new problem. This has been a long-term problem. I've seen a lot of it. The reason it's so bad right now is, one, obviously the docks are antiquated, and they have been for a long time. And most of them are locked in their landmass. They can't expand. But the real problem is we told everybody to stay at home.
Yep.
So everybody stayed at home for over a year, and they just ordered stuff online. So consumption went up.
Well, and I think that's an important part too with the whole supply chain is we're all used to 1 day, 2 day shipping, and getting things instantly. So we think a back order is going to be 4 or 5 days at the most, but things coming from China do not get flown on planes.
No.
Unless it's some rich company and they need to get the stuff immediately. It's coming over on boat. That's a minimum of a 30-day lead time to leave the docks in China, to get to the docks in ours, and then you have at least a 10-day
Well, and they can't
customs.
even predict lead times right now. Because
Exactly.
with hundreds of super tankers sitting off the West Coast, lead times really depend on when do we get to that boat.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's sitting there, but then think about what that's doing to the supply chain. Now, those boats are not going back to pick up more stuff.
Right.
They're just floating there and not doing anything. So this is just going to cause more supply chain issues because they're not building more boats. They're still now they're going to wait for these boats to get released so they can go back over. So
I can't. It's hard to imagine that we got boats full of cargo and nobody to unload them.
well, we have a personnel problem. We have a capacity problem. The personnel problem is all our own doing. I mean, this is all our fault. Like, we should not have been. We made it okay for dock workers to not work. There's not been a truck driver problem. In fact, CDL licenses are way up, and retention is actually up on CDL truck drivers. We do not. This is like the great lie in the media. I don't know where this is coming from. Just a bunch of reporters made up a story. I don't know. Did somebody release this? Does anybody know where this came from? This truck driver situation?
I don't know, but I actually saw an article where they were saying that there is a shortage because people who, like in manufacturing and truck driving, because people are rethinking their careers. So during the lockdown, everybody was didn't want to go back to those types of jobs, and people are trying to find different career paths that are newer, and that's one of the reasons.
I feel like they just make these things up. Because if you look at the enrollment for because there is a long haul truck drivers association.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's out of Nevada or something. I don't remember where they're based. And they maintain the membership of all the long haul truck, both private and organizational. So independents, everybody. They're like, we've got more long haul truck drivers now than we've ever had.
I would say it's really picked up especially the last few years.
Yeah, and if you talk to the truck drivers, because I've seen a lot of interviews with actual truck drivers saying, well, if that's the case, and they're like, no, all we do is sit at the docks too. Like it's all the docks. They're for some reason not showing the other side of that photo. They show all the boats in the water, but they don't show all the 18-wheelers just sitting there
Waiting to grab something.
Yeah, waiting.
To go.
Because they want to go too. They don't get paid
So we need
anything at all to sit there.
We got
Right, they get paid by their mile.
They get
recruit
paid by
dock
mile.
workers.
What's that?
We need to recruit dock workers.
Dock workers won't help because we have an antiquated docking system.
And they're unionized usually, and
there's a lot of unionization going on, which really muddies up the water. We have antiquated unloading and loading facilities. The ability. There's so much red tape now. Some of it legit, some of it not. But
you add in the customs piece about customs has to, whatever their random sampling is, but got to go through everything piece by piece because they need to be involved.
yeah, they're saying it's gotten so bad that Southeast Asia has started sending tankers through Panama Canal because they don't have a lot of these problems they do. They have them everywhere, but it's not nearly as bad because they don't have the heavy unionization and they don't have a lot of the restrictions in Texas and in Florida and along the Gulf Coast. So they're adding 2,000-3,000 miles to their trip just so they can unload.
Yep.
Like they're going halfway around the earth just so they can unload because they can't do it in California anymore. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're getting log jams in the Panama Canal. So as massive tank, and some of these super tankers can't even go through the Panama Canal.
Yeah, they're too big.
They're too big.
Yeah.
So we got problems there. But there's no other way to get through. It's that or go around South America.
I don't. This is a side thing, but I learned about, and I never thought about it with these guys who are sitting at dock waiting to offload their boats. They only have so much food and stuff for their trip. So now they're out there like half starving, having to get supplies delivered to them so that they can keep their boat running. So I never thought of that part before either. So
And you got to keep steering. You don't just float aimlessly as a boat. You got to keep the power systems running.
Drop anchor.
You got to get diesel.
Yeah.
This thing is a mess. And
it's not going to get unchoked for a long, long time.
Well, I haven't even seen any plans for dealing with it. Have you?
No. My brother's in the freight forwarding, but he works for UPS and manages shipments coming from overseas, and he's very good luck. I mean, nobody's doing anything for it.
This is insanity.
Because it's even out of UPS's hands. They have no control. They can
they
control
got
the shipment coming over and charge for their boats, but once it gets to the docks, it's out of their hands.
Well, you'd think the state of California would be all in on this, but they've put additional restrictions on private truck drivers. So
Yeah, 'cause they're
actually making the
freelance or
problem.
whatever.
Yeah, because they're, what do they call them? Alt workers? Is that what
Something like that.
Something like that.
I forget what it is.
But so they've been doubling down on making the problem worse.
Like,
And then the federal government's like, well, we'll tap in the National Guard. I'm like, really? You're going to tap in a bunch of people that are taught to shoot M4s on how to operate a heavy crane? I was like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, no, people are going to get killed. I was like, plus, it doesn't matter because you still don't have the facilities. What you need to do is set up temporary offloading locations, like maybe military bases or something like that. Start repurposing them just to get these boats the hell out of there and get this stuff into circulation while simultaneously expanding capacity so that we don't run into the same issue again. And nobody seems to have any interest in taking it on. Like, I'll do it.
yeah.
I mean,
I'll go on
do they want me to do it? I'll do it.
I've done it before.
No, I'm not actually physically. These are soft hands. I'm not going to pick anything up. I'll design the system.
I'll actually go do it. I worked in logistics before.
No, I got a hang the other day. I cried for 3 hours. Like that's not going to work well. That's not good luck. I moisturize. As Jimmy was out working on concrete all day, he's like, "What a pansy." He was nice enough not to say it out loud, but I could see it in his eyes.
I saw it. Yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
That was a shame.
It was a twinkle of this would be the easiest fight of my life.
Sometimes I think it's an act.
Nothing I do is an act. Come on, every story I tell is 100% true. I never embellish. So the truck driver thing bothers me because it's just not true, and it just keeps getting parroted. The port thing bothers me because it's just a distinct lack of planning, which the whole idea is, when you've got logistics and supply chain, long-term planning is everything. Like, how do you miss the most important part of this whole thing?
It's probably more that they were scraping by and we're fine in the long run, and then shit hit the fan.
Wow.
It's like it was just a house of cards.
The whole thing was house cards. Well, and the just-in-time, we're not going to, and I hear a lot of people say, well, maybe this is the end of just-in-time supply. I was like, it's not going to go away. It can't. The companies are it's the only way to be competitive. Mm-hmm. You can no longer, everybody's margins are so razor thin that you can't afford to be competitive stockpiling massive warehouses full of stuff. Like, it's just not the way the current global economy works.
I'm saying even just the dependence on general technology and chips and all that stuff, you can't stockpile that stuff or you're out of the loop within a year. Not even a year. I
think what it's going to take is a massive automation process. Like, somebody's going to have to step in and fully automate the docks.
Yeah, I think it's been a push the last 15 years to get some automation, but even still.
They're working to automate fast food restaurants.
No, they have to. I mean, now that if you're going to pay somebody flipping burgers $15 an hour,
$20 an hour,
unless people want to pay $18 for a Happy Meal, you're going to have to start putting some computers in. So there's no way around it. I love how they always said that when the conversation about $15 an hour minimum wage, they're like, prices won't go up, and we're like,
what do you mean?
Like, do you understand how basic economics works?
Yeah.
This isn't even college level economics. This is like junior high school economics.
Yeah,
like if it used to get paid $8 an hour and now you get paid $15 an hour, now the price of the labor just doubled.
Yeah.
I mean,
and considering for most businesses, the largest expenditure you'll ever make is labor.
I did go to McDonald's the other day I haven't been there for probably 3 years. I got a coffee and I think my coffee was like $2.50 or something.
So much
ended
for
up
the
being like
coffee.
It ended up being like $7 for what was it? It was a coffee and I think a cheeseburger.
$7 for
yeah.
coffee.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm never coming back here again, ever, ever.
It's not like it's gonna be better anywhere else. I mean,
I'll just never go there again.
I take the family to Chick-fil-A and it's like a $50 excursion.
Well, Chick-fil-A is that's different.
Yeah, but still, I don't want to spend $50 on fast food chicken.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Whether sit that or spend $100 at the restaurant.
Yeah, and what is really going to happen, this is what I predict, is you're going to see a lot more people are going to change their lifestyles over this. They're going to start cooking at home. They're going to start eating at home.
I think a lot of like our entertainment.
You will once the free money runs out.
The things you do now, like our whole lives are going to change.
Yeah.
Everything's going to change. These businesses, what we used to do for entertainment, go to concerts, go out to eat, go to the bar, like all that's going to go away.
Yeah,
it's going to go away.
We're heading backwards.
Just because it's too costly to do it? Or?
It's going to get so costly. I mean, it's just going to be.
Well, think about it. If a concert ticket is now $200 a person, and it's going to cost you $50 to $100 to park, and it's going to be $20 for a hot dog once you're in there, and $30 for a beer, you're looking at what? You want to go out with your wife to go to see a show, and it's a $700 to $1,000 night?
No.
You really going to do it?
And then the
I'm not going to do it.
No.
And I'll be like, sweetie, why don't we just, I don't know, watch a DVD?
Yeah. I got some.
And then the domino effect happens because then the facilities are not going to be making profits. The facilities are going to shut down. The musicians are going to stop touring.
Yep.
The facilities are going to shut down. And
then you'll have
it's
blight.
just not going to exist anymore.
Then you'll have blight. You'll have abandoned buildings. You're going to have crime soar.
Yep. And you're going to go.
But don't worry, we're defunding the police, so that's good.
The only way you're going to be able to watch a live show is to go into the metaverse.
God, no.
Jesus, no, please.
Dude, all right, can somebody explain that story to me? How did it turn into a death factory? I was watching an interview with one of the EMTs.
At that Houston show or whatever? Apparently, Scott, what's his name? I don't know, Travis Scott or something like that, had asked people to bum rush, like break through the gates and not pay their tickets. So it was already over capacity.
All right, who is Travis Scott?
I think he's
country
when I asked
singer.
my wife, no, he's a rapper.
Travis Scott.
I was about to say he
Oh.
sounds like a country singer,
When-
but that doesn't sound like a country singer's like type of thing they'd say.
I said to Sean, I said, who's this Scott guy or whatever? And she's like, it's Kylie Jenner's whatever baby daddy. So
I feel really dumb, but I know the name Kylie Jenner.
it's Kim Kardashian's sister.
Oh,
Whatever the greatest male athlete who's now a female's daughter. Bruce Jenner. I don't
Caitlyn
know.
Jenner.
Caitlyn Jenner. Yes, I didn't know what the name
okay.
was. Sorry.
So these are all Kardashian people.
All Kardashian
So he's
people.
part of the. I don't know anything about the Kardashians.
He's like
part of the Kardashian.
yeah, he's
thing.
like one of the leeches, I guess.
Oh, okay. So he's like who's the guy that married Kim?
Which one? Well, didn't she have two?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Kanye.
Kanye. I know that guy.
They're
I
not
mean,
married
personally.
anymore, though. I don't think.
They're not married
I
anymore.
don't think so. No.
Oh,
Apparently, I don't know.
Kanye was always fun. He was like my favorite soundbite guy.
Did you ever
Such a
see his
guy.
interview with Joe Rogan?
Kanye's? No, I didn't realize he was on the Joe Rogan. Was he on the Joe Rogan show or?
I think it was him, dude.
Oh, I gotta
have to find that one.
Dude, there's
Yeah.
a clip that came out of it where he was said he wanted to rule the world, and it was pretty like bizarre.
Yeah, no
Well,
shit.
it's Kanye.
Like,
He's always
yeah,
kinda
he-
said that.
he
Everything
got-
he says is off the rails. Like, wasn't he the guy that said George Bush bombed the levees?
Yes,
Yeah.
he blamed George Bush for Hurricane Katrina.
he had some real
It's like, I know the Bushes have money, but they don't have hurricane money.
Bush was
They're
still
not
trying
making
to tie his shoe.
hurricanes yet. Yeah, right.
I don't remember that clip. You have to look the clip up.
Oh, I gotta find
it was
that.
and it's they just took it and Joe Rogan's listening. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
When Joe Rogan
Like-
gives you that face,
Yeah.
like most normal
It
people,
was
want
such
to
a
start
di-
backtracking a little bit.
dude. It was such a disturbing comment that like the way he phrased it. It was just. I'm pretty sure it was Conway West.
Why would you want to run the world anyway? It just seems
It
like
was
a lot of
it was
stress.
like and it wasn't it was like he wanted everybody to be his servant, like he wanted to be a pharaoh, like that was his, and it was like the
That
way,
also seems terrible.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it was pretty horrendous. Anyway, so back to the other off topic.
I don't know. All I know is
The
about-
Kardashians. I don't.
Oh yeah, how did we get on Kardashians?
Well, I don't know where the
We
hell
started
we're
with
at right
the festival in Houston.
The festival.
now. Oh yeah. So the concert. So, what
wh-
happened?
Is Astro World is that a thing
It's a
that
festival.
travels? Oh, so that's a traveling festival.
I don't know if they travel.
Or is
I don't know anything
always
about
happens
it.
in Houston?
I have no
That's
idea.
why the Houston Astros.
I'm,
like,
I don't know.
I don't. Okay.
So was it? It was
So
a
you don't know
music
either.
festival that they throw every year.
I don't know. It literally just came to my attention because
Fair enough.
all these people died.
Sorry,
it's-
I don't mean to ask you a lot of questions.
they say it was a combination of lack of security because people aren't working. The show organizers only had one person performing at like a festival. Typically, there's multiple stages and crowd kind of spans across those 3 or 4 stages or whatever. He was the only one performing. He had asked his fans to bum rush the ticket lines and break in, essentially jump fences and stuff, just so they could come. So you were already over capacity. And these, from some of the accounts that because I've been reading some, people are describing like you didn't even have room to breathe. Like as you take your you're almost in a boa constrictor.
Wow.
As you breathe, it tightens because it's that close. Somehow somebody fell or from these people rushing, and then it was just all trampled.
Wow.
I think it was from the age of 14 to 27 was the oldest person who died.
Yeah, that's
So you know
I
what the
saw, too.
problem is?
It
See,
was like 12 people died.
see, those people never had any experience in a mosh pit, and so they don't know how
I
to
don't think that would
understand.
have mattered because I
They
literally
don't
thought
understand how
about
to
that.
deal with the.
But yeah, well, and see, that's the thing that's the big thing with this. They're saying about this Travis Scott guy is he was aware of what was happening and never stopped. Like,
Well, that makes
I've
him
been to
legally
concert.
liable. Like it's
Yeah.
manslaughter.
well, he's playing the I didn't do it, but there's definitely a video of him watching them carry someone's dead body out.
Wow.
But I've been in mosh pits, and somebody falls, you pick them up. This
Yeah.
was not that case. This was just people trying to get as close to the
That's
stage
because
as
it
they
was a
could.
rap show.
Well, that's my opinion too.
Metal people are friendly.
Well, I mean, metal. Yeah,
Metal
literally.
people are shockingly friendly.
That's where you'll get knocked down.
Yeah.
You can be the smallest guy, you get knocked over.
Yeah.
Where somebody takes
Some
a cheap
giant
shot.
biker's gonna pick you up.
You
You're
could
like,
take
all
a-
right, buddy.
Yeah. I remember that from my first mosh pit. Like, I was the biggest guy in there, but we were all picking each other up.
Yeah.
Even the security guys came and they're like, you just make sure everyone stands back up.
You ever do a mud mosh pit?
No.
I did one time. I will never do it again. I'll never do it again. Period. Like I've only done 3 mosh pits in my life, and by the 3rd one, I was like, "This is just a dumb idea."
So fun.
But the one time at a festival, it was raining, and there was a pit down there. It's like I'm going to go to the mosh. I was like 21 or something like that. I'm going to do it. And my friend's like, all right, idiot. And I went down there and I came out and it was just, I looked like a swamp
Just
monster.
covered.
And I was in so much pain 'cause you couldn't keep your feet.
Yeah.
So every 5 seconds you're on your butt. Everybody was. Like everybody was just falling over.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
slippy, and you're moving so much faster and exerting so much more energy.
Yep. So, but that was when I was light enough that I could body surf though.
See, I never had that advantage. I could never do that. I was usually the guy that had to pick the people up.
So,
You were the body surfer lifter, and
That was the-
everybody be in a line.
Yeah.
yeah.
Me next, me next.
And I was like, okay, Junior. I'm 29. Yeah, Astro, that one was messed up. And the interview I saw with the EMT was really messed up too. Like, and I felt bad for the EMTs.
Well, I think that's what they said too. Like they only
only
had a
had, like-
couple experienced EMTs.
Yeah.
Other ones were not. But there were people trying to alert others. Like there was just a massive failure. There was a girl who literally climbed up onto one of the like filming towers and was like, "There are people dying down there," and they just were like, "Get off, get out of here, get away,
Wow.
leave." Like trying to like, "I'll throw you off of this thing if you don't get out of here."
Wow.
What the? I don't know.
What a mess. Jeez.
See, that's why it's all going to escalate, and just it's just not going to happen anymore. You know,
I don't.
Because it's some bonehead.
And if he did say that, in my opinion, he's 100% liable. Like, he incited that. He's responsible for all those deaths.
I do not disagree. Well, apparently he's paying for all the funerals. So
oh, that's really nice.
Oh,
yeah,
well, all right,
okay,
well,
your kid's dead.
Never
Here's
mind.
some money.
He
I
seemed like
mean,
Such a
dude.
good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like we shouldn't discount that. That's not a nice thing to do, but I mean,
It's a.
I don't think
cover
he.
my ass
It's
thing
one
to
of
do.
those things where, you know, I think the problem is right now with the way everything's going on, everybody's frustrated. And I don't think that he was like, you know, I didn't want to see that happen. I think that, you know, he's mad at the system. He's mad at what's going on. And he's like, you know, forget this, man. Do what you want to do. And then those are the kinds of things that happen. And, you know, and you're when you're in control of a crowd like that, he's like not thinking,
Yeah.
you know.
This is what happens when you suffer from a severe lack of leadership
Yeah.
at all levels. It's just.
So, but they'll turn that and spin it and make it seem like, you know, like, and you can do that very easily. You
Well,
can
don't
turn
worry.
that
Those
around
12
and say,
people are all COVID deaths. So
yeah,
I have no doubt.
they were super spreaders
They
gathering, and they probably didn't even have their muzzles on.
Probably not. Bunch of
Yeah.
animals. I did see a video of them storming the security gates, though. Ugh,
Running through it.
It looked like Z Nation,
I'm gonna have to look at that. I didn't see it.
World War Z. Or
I'm so
whatever.
horrible with following news. I probably should follow the news more.
I accidentally saw some of the like inaction people being trampled type stuff. And it's just
That's brutal.
like it was just still pictures because there was a couple people who weren't identified. I think that's how I found it. Like they were trying to identify the one guy.
Oh, okay.
But there was like two friends. It was one guy's birthday, and they're like, "Yeah, bottom right is this guy, and top left is this guy," and they're both laying on the ground. Because they had unique shirts on.
Wow.
But it's just like, what the hell?
That's insane. Well, and what's super scary is we probably would have done it
Well, and
25 years ago. Like, everybody was storming the gates and be like, yeah.
How do you die like getting stepped on by 100-pound person?
it's
Or a
not that
200-pound
it's not that it's
person.
100-pound person.
No, usually what
What
happens
is
is they pass out from the lack of oxygen.
So you
fall to the ground and they just get.
You're in Houston, Texas. You're in a crowd of how many people? You're not. You don't have water readily available, so you're already dehydrated.
And
you can't breathe.
The EMTs were saying to get from the doors to the area where the peoples were, the people that were down were, was taking them 10 to 20 minutes. That's how tight the bodies were.
Yeah.
And that maybe 50 to 100 feet.
I say
It was taking them like 20 minutes to get that far because they're so jam packed they could not get anywhere. Nobody could move.
I remember that I was at a Metallica show and it was like that. We were and the whole it was in South Park Meadows in Austin, and it's hot in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that place held 60,000 people. It was an outdoor venue, and I mean, the pit was the whole freaking place. Like typically, you just go to the pit.
Yeah.
Like this whole place was the pit, and the whole thing was just like you're 70 yards back from the stage, and the whole the whole place is just moving and swaying. You can't stand still. It's cram-packed.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess that's similar to what the situation was.
And that's exactly what I said. The crowd, what do they call it? Crowd flow or something like that.
Yeah.
Just 10 people behind, all the way in the back move,
But-
and everybody else is
Well, I
moving
hate
too.
comparing humans to cattle, but it was a
That's
stampede.
exactly
But
what it is.
honestly, if you'd fall on the ground, it was like cooler down there,
but it
and
was-
you could get a breath of fresh air.
Well, they were saying that it was almost like a black hole. So a couple people fell, and then everyone around them was falling because of the swaying and the moving and stuff. And then
Oh, yeah,
you
so it
get
just
dog
became-
piled
Oh,
and
now it's a dog. Yeah.
you're crushed. And
Jeez.
Okay, yeah, that's bad.
yeah, there's actually some. If you go on Reddit, you can find some account like people their own account, like the one girl who was on top of the thing. She was describing how it was. Like she was on top of one guy who ended up dying, and somehow she made her way out to be able to go up there and say something. But she's just like couldn't believe what was happening. Like she couldn't move,
Wow.
couldn't get herself up.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, anybody with anxiety is going to start panicking in that
Oh, you
environment.
have that too. I mean, there's going to be some level of anxiety for anybody. You start losing your breath, can't breathe.
Yep.
It's
I
it's
mean,
gonna
and
be
then
natural.
think about guys like us. Like, what's your first reaction? Make space.
Make
Throw
space.
elbows.
It's
Makes it actually worse.
worse for everyone else.
But I'm big enough that I can probably start moving the crowd at least around me
Yeah.
a little bit, which is going to make it terrible for everybody. But I'm going to
Yep.
get my breath, and then get a bunch of big guys doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
And
And you know they're going to do it. You're like, I wouldn't do that. You'd do that.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
couldn't breathe, you'd start.
I've done it
Yeah.
at concerts. I've been packed and I've pushed people back just because I could.
I can bench press 300 pounds. I guarantee you I can move this jackass in front of me 6
Yeah.
inches so I get a breath.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guarantee it. So, yeah, no, that's terrible. Can I tell you my personal story that's equally as horrible from
Yeah.
a Jack Johnson concert?
Jack Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Front row seats for my birthday, right up by Jackie J.
Yeah.
It was going to be a great night.
Oh, it's coming up.
No, this was like 4 years ago.
Oh,
And then front row paid a pretty penny for these tickets.
Yeah.
And then they decided to help the little people
And they put them in the front row.
that they were going to put all the people with like the cheapest tickets
Front.
in front of us in the open area in front. And of course, a team of 6'9" bikers with way more facial hair than is appropriate for a human being all stood directly in front of me, and I never saw the show.
Oh,
And I was like, I paid like $400 a ticket for this to get front row seats to
Holy
see
crap.
Jack Johnson. I never even saw the show. It's like, this is the worst. I could have gotten $20 seats in the yard, seen more because I could at least seen the screens. It's too close to see the screens. So, I mean, basically, it was the same thing as Astro World.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my Astro World. As I sat comfortably in a chair.
that's why I never pay for premium seats at a concert. I just make my way to the premium area.
I stopped paying for general admission. I don't do the standing room only
No,
stuff
I don't
anymore.
either. I get seats.
I'll just get a seat and in a decent area where I can still kind of see the performer.
My
I just
favorite,
passed that.
my favorite is always front row, tier 2.
Tier 2.
Because it usually drops down below
You're right
the
there,
stage
yeah.
in tier 1. I always love being in that front row, tier 2. You can see the stage really well. You're a little further back, but you can see everything. And
Yeah.
there's usually a walkway in front of you or something so that people can't stand there and loiter.
Yep.
That's like my favorite spot to be. It's tough to get those seats, but
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, since we're on the concert, I gotta tell you the best freaking concert story I've ever. So we were at a Rage Against the Machine show in Texas. It was in an arena. I think it was in Dallas. So we were this arena. The drop down. It was like it had to be about 15 feet from the first row of seating down to the floor. So I
Okay.
had to grab Gretchen. I grabbed her and I put her under. I got her under her armpits, got her over the wall, and I had to lean down as far as I could, and I dropped her, and she still was about 3 feet from the floor.
Yeah.
okay.
So basically, what happened as soon as the lights went out, and it wasn't even Rage coming on. It was like the first band. As soon as the lights went out, I grabbed her, threw her over, and then I jumped down, and then came through, grabbed her, ran into the crowd. I don't know if you guys ever bum rushed the stage at shows or nothing. Okay, so we end up.
Not really.
No.
Okay, so well, I always paid general admission, and I always went to the stage. It was the plan. So anyway, so we're in there. It was two shows.
I
and-
just stay in general admission.
I
Huh. And I feel like a jack.
didn't realize I was allowed to do that.
I didn't know.
Tickets had stay where you are.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see that part.
Selective viewing.
So we're down there and Rage is about to come on, right? And all the place goes black, and then they light up these black lights, and they just sort of like glowed and came on, and it was this crazy haze like over the whole arena. And as soon as that happened, the whole freaking arena rushed the floor. So every level, like you had like 3 levels, and every level had that same drop. And to look at this, it was like a human waterfall. It was the most crazy visual thing that I've ever seen. I can't believe it never made a video.
Wow.
Dude, it was the whole freaking arena just rushed, and that drop, boom, boom, everybody like hitting that one section, and everybody like pushed down and boom, boom,
Except
boom,
for 2
boom.
people. Me and
Yeah,
Tyler,
it's
still in our seats.
Wait, what are they doing?
Section 19, row double J.
What is your
Pretty sure this
what
isn't
does your
approved,
ticket
guys.
say? Does your ticket say
Like,
stay in your
mine
seat?
clearly says this.
It
seat.
says stay in your
They must have different tickets.
How do
Got a lot of leg room though now. This is nice.
exactly what would be my thing? Like, oh, spread out a little bit.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was their Evil Empire tour.
Do they still tour?
No, they're not even.
No,
they're not together anymore.
No,
they
they're
don't like
not.
each other.
Man, that
No.
show was nuts, dude.
There was
There
too
was
much.
there was like 10
Rage.
pits
There
all
was-
over
well,
that
there was
floor.
too
There was
much
pits
structure.
scattered everywhere. What's that?
There was too much structure in the band.
Too much structure.
Yeah, there was a hierarchy.
Wow, we really
They
got
didn't
off
like
the
it.
topic.
Well, you know what? Everybody likes hearing about good shows, though, and I do think that Astro World was worth bringing up too, because that's a messed up story.
Yeah.
So, but I do think we're out of time. So, just to recap here, real quick, and take it back to supply chain. Did either one of you want to bring up something about what's going on right now in any industry? I don't care, but what's happening with supply chain now, or recommendations, or thoughts, or things people should be doing? Tyler, why don't you go first?
Yeah, do your Christmas shopping now. Don't wait for Black Friday.
Yeah. What did your brother say?
My brother said, and again, he works in supply chain. He works for UPS. He said if you don't have it by Black Friday, before Black Friday, you're probably not going to get it. Said the shelves are already bare. They're going to be even barer.
That's a solid piece of advice. What do you got?
I'm wondering what's going to happen with the food chains.
Well,
Right.
I'll tell you what. You know what? I'm going to dovetail off of that. I've started going to the farmers markets more than I used to.
Yeah.
The farmers markets are doing great. So if I would have one piece of recommendation is move away from supermarkets, get away from big box stores. They're all struggling. If you can buy local, especially look, if you're in New York, sorry, I don't know what to tell you, you're screwed. But if you're out in a rural area, or if you're out in an area with farmland and things like that, the farmers are still they're just doing their thing.
Well, it's a different philosophy too for them, right? So grocery stores are on a just-in-time inventory, right? They're getting a truck daily, maybe weekly at the worst.
They might have a stock room that's 10 by 15. That's it. Yeah.
Farmers, and I know this from experience, they're going once a week to their own market to buy their materials to bring up to the market. They don't get a delivery once a day or once a week. They're stockpiling their stuff and keeping it in their warehouse and then bring it to market with them. So that's why you see better availability.
Well, and I think they're going to be the true heroes in this whole thing. Now, you're going to see a lot of the local farmers are going to really step up. You're going to have these farmers markets are going to become hotbeds. I saw $6.99 a pound for New York strip steak. Now, if you go online and look up New York strip raw per pound, I think right now it's going for like 30.
What market were you at?
Should I even say it?
I mean, maybe off camera.
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
If anybody wants to know, you have to watch this and then message us and pop a like, and I'll tell you which farmers market.
Subscribe.
$6.99. I was going to buy like 20 pounds of New York strip.
Yeah. Why didn't you? What?
I was with my daughter, and I had to go somewhere else. And I didn't want meat sitting in my car, but I'm planning to go back.
So she could have carried some.
I'll go. Dude, we're going to get the meat, all right?
That's Jack's. I'd have been like, dude, you're hauling. We're going somewhere else.
It's awesome. You can actually, they grow it in a vat right behind the...
Wow, that's kind of.
Right
That's why it's so cheap, because nobody wants to buy
right
it.
there, yeah.
Do you think we're at a time where like we really need to think about getting like,
Victory Gardens?
well, like MREs?
I have MREs.
Yeah.
Do we like
I would recommend them. I buy mine from Patriot Supply.
if a food shortage comes, and that's like the scariest thing, because who cares about freaking chips if you can eat? I mean, who cares about all these other things? The real scary part is when the food production.
Well, and I think you're going to have to see a level of supply chain disruption, the likes of which is hard to envision, because we do produce our own food in this country, which is one good thing. And there are people screwing with that supply chain too, but there's only so much you can do to it with how much farmland we have. What you're really going to see is you're going to see lack of availability of things you're used to buying. That just won't exist anymore. You're going to see stuff that you're like, well, I always used to buy this here. And they'll be like, yeah, we don't know. We haven't seen one on a truck in the last 3 months. So I don't think you're going to get to a point where you can't get food, at least not in the near term, as much as you're going to get to a point where you're going to be forced to eat certain foods because it's the only thing that's available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which for some people, like me, and it wouldn't bother me as much as other people. Like Lisa Marie is very particular about what she eats.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wife, for anybody who doesn't know me. And that would hit her heart if there's certain things she couldn't get.
Was that you that was telling me about the farmers? Something I just heard something recently with the farmers and raising the cattle that they're not allowed to use federal land.
That
for
was on this
grazing.
podcast.
Was that you?
That was literally.
Did you just say that earlier?
Yeah, that was in the
Before the
first half of the podcast.
Oh.
It was, yeah, BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, is
Oh, okay.
restricting land. Yeah, did you just show up? Jimmy's here. Start over. We're going to
Yeah,
re-record.
go back. Okay.
All right, on that note, I
just-
think we're done.
concrete dust.
We're so good.
Jimmy, thank you, man.
Also-
Tyler, as always, thank
So
you.
glad we covered that great topic.
Twice. I'm glad we got it twice. Everyone out there, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.